Solving for unit rate. So look at this word problem. Joseph pays $90 for 6 yoga classes. What is the cost per class? A lot of y'all could solve this as a regular word problem, but if we use this as a unit rate question, we can always write a rate. Remember, a rate is a comparison of two different things by division. So we could say that this is 90, this is the amount of money right over here, and what we have is $90 for 6 yoga classes right over here. So when we do this, what we're trying to do is when we find a unit rate, what is the cost per class? What is the cost per unit? What is the cost per one, in this case, yoga class? So when we look at this, the best way to do this is always to look at the relationship between the values that you have. I make one proportion over here, I make another one over here, and then I see how this relates. Well, how does 6 turn into 1? When a number gets smaller, 6 goes to 1. We're dividing. And 6 divided by itself is 1. So whatever I do to the bottom, I can do to the top, and I can say what is 90 divided by 6. And 6 goes into 90 15 times if we do the math. And so the cost of the yoga classes is going to be, one class is $15. That gives us the unit rate. How much is one class unit rate? So unit rate is defined as a rate that is expressed as a quantity of 1. So like one yoga class for $15, or this example, 35 miles per hour, 35 miles per 1 hour. So when you get a rate expressed all the way down to 1, quantity of 1, you're solving for unit rate. Let's try this one. The cost of 2 cartons of milk is $5.50. What is the unit price? So I'm going to make my rate here. The cost of 2 cartons of milk is $5.50. So 2 cartons of milk is $5.50. I'll put my dollar sign. This is milk here. Equals, now my new one is my unit rate. What is the unit price? Well, basically, per unit price is how much for 1 carton of milk. If 2 cartons is $5.50, how much am I paying for the unit for 1? So, again, looking at my relationship, how does 2 turn into 1? It's getting smaller, so we're dividing. So we're dividing by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So right here I can say what's $5.50 divided by 2. So if we did some quick division, some of them will work out evenly, pretty quick. You can do mentally, and then some of them you'll need to do some long division with this. But if I solve this, 2 goes into 5 2 times. I get 4. Subtract to get 1 with 15. 2 goes into 15 7 times. 2 times 7 is 14. When I subtract, I get 1 and bring down the 0. And then 2 goes in 5 times. So half of $2.50, of course, is $2.75. So the unit price, unit rate, unit price is going to be $2.75 for a carton of milk. So let's use unit rate here to solve an actual rate question. Maybe make a prediction or a projection here. At a summer camp, the campers are divided into groups. We're dividing campers up. Each group has 16 campers and 2 cabins. So I always write that part down. 16 campers, my rate here, to 2 cabins. So I'll change this to campers, and we'll change this to cabins. So that's our first rate. We're going to say here, how many cabins are needed for 112 campers? Okay. So if we needed 112 campers, how many cabins would we need? So we could do this a couple ways. We could always find a unit rate first and then use that to solve for the 12. If not, we could either figure out how many times is 16 go into 112, and then we could, because that number is increasing, we're obviously multiplying 16 by something, and we can do that here. Or we could also do this unit rate. I'm going to do the unit rate first, and then we'll do the other one. So 16 campers, well, if we're trying to figure out how many per 1 cabin, how many go in 1 cabin, we're basically taking 2 here, and dividing by 2, it's getting smaller. So we're just cutting this part in half and saying 16 divided by 2 is 8. So it's 8 campers per cabin. So how many cabins would we need? So we could either go 8, what is 8 into 112? 8 times what is 112? Or we could have gone back to our original one and just said 16 right here. They'll both work, but for one of them we're finding the unit rate. Well, 8, I believe, goes into 112. I believe it is 14 times. So if we look right here, 8 goes into 112 times 14. And if we looked at this other one, and how many times does 16 go into 112 when we did our multiplication there, we would get 7. So at the top, 16 times 7 equals 112. So either way, we can either multiply 2 times 17, or we can do 1 times 14 here. Either way, we should get 14. We need 14 cabins. So we found a unit rate, and then we use that. In this case, we didn't necessarily have to, but it's always a way. If you get stuck, you find a unit rate, you can use that to make predictions or projections for word problems.